Mike Roberts may have great hair, but he ain't got this beard. And welcome to another edition of Mondays in Midtown. I'm Mark Zinn, coming to you today with Lyle Wilson, apparently right behind us. Hello, Lyle. That's fantastic. Great show for you this week. First, looking at the issue of local control with the city police department with an exclusive sit-down with the St. Louis Alderman. And then we have some insight into the Student Government Association elections that are coming up next Monday, and a look at those 3 different tickets that are in that election. And of course, we have an inside look at the 41st Annual Joe Becker basketball tournament. So right now, though, here is our exclusive interview with Alderwoman Jennifer Florida. She represents an area just south of the SLU's campus, and she's the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee and also sits on the Public Safety Committee at the Board of Aldermen downtown for the city of St. Louis. So here's our interview from earlier today about the local control of the city police department. Well, Alderman Florida, thanks for coming on Mondays in Midtown.
Thanks, I could finally make it. Yes.
Can you bring our viewers up to speed on the current state of the local control of the police department issue?
Okay. I'm going to bring everyone up to speed on probably an issue that most people aren't really completely coherent on, which is, for whatever reason, well, it's not for whatever reason, but basically because of a decision that was made in 1861, that St. Louis City and Kansas City are the only 2 departments, St. Louis, or police departments, that are controlled by a state. And that was because of a War Power Act, actually a Civil War Power Act, where the governor, who was pro-Confederacy, for what thought that we would raise our militia because St. Louis City and Kansas City were pro-Union against the Confederacy. So they took the police departments in 1861, and they have never come back to local control. In this region of 92 municipalities, 91 of those cities have jurisdiction over their police departments, but St. Louis City does not.
And so, even in today's time, they're still controlled by the state. And what happens is, I guess, the governor appoints a police board.
It's a 5 board where the police commissioners are appointed by the governor of the state of Missouri, and our mayor is ex officio.
Is it like that in Kansas City too?
Yes.
Okay. But Kansas City isn't really pushing for local control.
They are. Not vocally, but I am privy to information that they would benefit from local control.
Do you think local control will happen in the next few years here?
I think it has to.
Why is that?
I think it's a legal issue. I think that it holds us back as a city to be stuck in Civil War era, to be fighting this last battle of the Civil War in 2011 is something that we have to get past. And so, I think that it will benefit the city to have local control, especially budgetary. It increases transparency. It increases accountability, efficiency in the way that we are able to reduce some of the duplication of services. They have an HR department which is $880,000. The police board itself is $250,000. So if you wanted to save $1 million, you turn over the duties of the Human Resources Department of the Police Department to the City of St. Louis, and the Civil Service Commission now does the duties of creating, a board of oversight for the policemen.
So
you have you have quite a savings,
right?
$1 million, and I think too that we're motivated to put more policemen on the street. We have been for 10 years trying to get up their table of organization to 1,400 policemen, and so we've done things like allocate the graduated business license, the excess, to the police department. We've allocated $20 million in the use tax, which was technically affordable housing money, but excess could be used for public safety. So we've been motivated to try to get that TO up. And I don't know if you watched what happened when the Police Board of Commissioners took up the police department budget this week. They were allocated, I believe, $164.5 million. And they want another $1 million. And they basically said, if you don't give us another $1 million, we're cutting 65 policemen, which jeopardizes their COPS grant. So, I mean, those are decisions we would not rush into cutting the force by 65 people. Don't you think, I mean, how, that was kind of an odd decision for a police board to make.
When you look at the current issue with local control, the police department, at least the Police Officers Association, they don't really want local control, not necessarily right now at least. Why do you think that is? I mean, they say they could bring politics into the equation, and then there's the whole pension issue.
Well, there are a lot of politics involved right now, and there have been politics involved for the last 150 years. So, they prefer to have the state politics, and I believe that politics locally will be reduced because they will become civil service employees. I think they're afraid. They're afraid of change, and they prefer this. How involved is the governor really in running the police department, except for to appoint a board of police commissioners? You know, what's the tension of accountability? You know, when there's problems in the neighborhood, do people pick up the phone and call even your state rep or call your governor? No. They'll call the mayor, they'll call, you know, their alderman, you know, because they want a resolution.
Do you think if the city took back local control, some negative forms of politics could be issued toward the police department in the sense that, any specific alderman would try to tell a police officer how to do their job?
Actually, right now, the police department does, I mean, if you're a policeman on the street, if you're a blue shirt, what's your recourse when you have a problem? Who do you call? You go to your police board of commissioners? What do you do? Right now, you know, that's a pretty gray area when a policeman has a grievance. But they, you know, civil service employees have many protections, and you have to go through a disciplinary process, a graduated disciplinary process, and then you go before a civil service commission. So they have protections under civil service that they don't have now. And as far as their pension's protected by state and federal law, and they're very clear about that.
So the city couldn't change the police department's pension? We
cannot, nor would we.
What if, I've talked to several police officers, they're worried about both the pension issue and the political issue at the local level. And I talked to a police officer the other day. He said that if the city regains local control, he might leave the police department because he's afraid of what might happen to him. He's a younger police officer, maybe only 2 or 3 years on the force. What might happen to his pension, what might happen to his retirement plan.
But have you looked at what's happened in the last few years with the police board? We've had a police board commissioner resign because he tried to use influence for his nephew. We had another police board commissioner in the last 5 years basically use his influence for sexual favors with the police officers. We have a police board president that was basically ousted out by the governor. I mean, we've had some very heavy political things happen under this current system, with a chief, the former chief, resigning, with the, walking out with a severance package, which was, very generous, and then the board just decided to give him another $100,000 when nobody else was getting, a raise, and we were still going through these very difficult economic times. So there's this disconnect, right? There's a disconnect in the police board being tethered to the taxpayer, who have a degree in criminal justice sciences. I love our St. Louis Police Department. I love the officers. They work very hard. But I see this current system of governance not working. It's antiquated, and we need to move on. And we can't be frozen in time because we're afraid of change. And the change that we're talking about is going to provide them even better protection.
So what would you say to that police officer who says he might quit if the city takes over local control?
Well, I can't make that decision for him, but you don't make your decisions based on fear, right? So, I think it's perception, right? It's just the perception of something new. The current system isn't working, and it's very expensive. And the harder we work to get the resources on the street, you know, they end up somewhere else. We as a city have done everything within our power to try to, you know, give them as many resources as possible. Well, the reality is they control our pension, right? So, and they control the department, and we just write a check, right? So, you know, and the mayor basically asked the police board this week if they couldn't ask the state legislature for whatever the amount was that they wanted, $1 million or $2 million, in order to keep the 65 policemen on the street. And I mean, that was his request. By Hancock, we're only required to keep them funded at $82 million. We funded them at $165 million. I've watched their budget go from $121 million to $165 million in the last 10 years. You know?
But wouldn't you say that because there's crime in the city? I mean, they would need more money.
No. That's not it. I mean, that's not it at all, because the manpower's been reduced. I mean, and this is with us trying to...
Why has the manpower been reduced?
Well, that is a very good question. We tried it, you know, their TO is 1,399.9, and they're not there. They're not ever there. So that's a really good question. We ask that every year. Why aren't we there yet? Which is why we've been motivated. Well, if we give them more money here, if we give them more money there, we'll finally get that table of organization up. But it hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. And, you know, we don't have budget, you know, we're just their funder. We don't make decisions about the details of the budget, and we don't have much input. We have one voice on a 5-member panel.
Well, Alderman Florida, we'll stay on top of this issue. We'll have you back here soon. Maybe even have a debate, if you would be willing.
A debate?
And sometimes maybe we'll let you know about that debate. But we appreciate you coming on Mondays and Midtown.
You know, Mark, I'd like to have the last word. I don't think this is an issue that should be debated, because the people spoke. People spoke in November. You know, 72% of the people in my ward voted for local control. And so when the people speak, I think it's time to act.
And we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. And again, that was Alderwoman Jennifer Florida of St. Louis City. She's the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee and a member on the Public Safety Committee at the Board of Aldermen, and has a lot of insight. But there's always several sides to a story. Next week, our crime time reporter, Evita Caldwell, will be looking at some of the issues the police department has and talking with some of the members of the St. Louis Police Officers Association. So look for that next edition. Actually, next week we'll be off covering the student government elections. It's next Monday. You can join us live for continuing coverage of those elections returns as we get them in here at SLU-TV. But there's 3 tickets, and right now we're going to preview the 3 tickets that are running for the Student Government Association of 2011-2012. The Student Government Association debates were held last week, which gave the SLU community a chance to hear from the 3 prospective SGA presidents, along with their executive boards.
I think the primary obstacle for our initiatives as a whole is just getting students involved, and I think each person up here beside me can agree that truly reaching out and getting more excitement for anything that SGA does is going to be the greatest strength, and overcoming that, we believe, will be possible through our many efforts and commitment to outreach. And not just outreach, but also getting feedback and acquiring that and organizing that in a way so that whatever the issue is, whether it's the library, whether it's promoting diversity on campus, bringing diversity to unity, and promoting any initiative of SGA, I believe that outreach and getting students' voices heard is the way that will overcome that, because when you have student momentum, you can really accomplish anything.
2 more. Well, I think Van Fields, Village Fields, I think these need to be changed to turf immediately. As SLU students, we see that these are a health risk because students cannot use these as much as they would like. So I'd like to do that. And then event planning, which currently does not work for students because students are focused on bringing speakers who they try to get through, not necessarily ones they want to bring. But Valve really wants to do something new for SLU, a complete change. Thank you.
Me on every issue. I did not want to pull from one section of campus. I did not only want past senators on this ticket. I wanted a diverse and flourishing representation of this university. I believe an executive board can only represent this entire campus if we each bring in different perspectives, beliefs, and approaches. When choosing our ticket, I focused on students who were engaged with the student body. The energy we have put into chartered student organizations, off-campus volunteer sites, residential advising, and other niches of this campus speak to how we will act next year. We are the students' students. We know the concerns, the doubts, and the worries. We value these concerns, and we want to aid students to turn that emotion into a positive outcome. We know that student government has not always been there for us. We find that simply unacceptable. We also know that student government can be and has been capable of positive change. One needs to look no further this year than the big accomplishments on the library renovation, or the critical improvement of security on this campus, or the smaller victory of angel baked cookies introduced into dining areas. A member of Building Bridges was a critical piece in all of these projects. Although we have a vision for a more united and loving St. Louis University, we are not impractical. We know change takes hard work. It takes the ability to effectively communicate. It takes the courage to put the most important needs at the front and not to push one's own agenda. And it takes the hopeful vision of a better campus. We understand this, and if fortunate, we look forward to the challenge.
And again, next Monday, we'll be hosting continuous coverage of the SGA election as those results come in, and we'll find out. And remember to vote next Monday, too, SLU. It's important. Right now, we're going to take a break, but it's not a commercial break in the sense that, oh, it's commercial, we don't want to watch it. It's actually pretty cool. It stars me, and it talks about the Hoops for Haiti charity basketball event, which is coming to SLU soon. It's a faculty versus student basketball game, and it's a lot of fun. We'll be right back. Hey there, Billikens fans. This is Mark Zinn of Mondays in Midtown, the hottest public affairs news magazine, coming to you from the West Pine Gymnasium, the site of the second annual Hoops for Haiti charity basketball event. Pow. It's a faculty versus student event, so that means students, if your teacher's a real battle axe, you can do a move and shot combo on them. Hey, faculty, if you want to break your student's ankle, make it happen. This event takes place on Saturday, March 26th, right here at West Pine at 3 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you there. And welcome back. Great commercial. Good job, the whole team that put that together, Colin Shevlin, Albert Ramirez, and many others. We'll see you at Hoops for Haiti. Great, great event. But right now, let's continue on that note of basketball. The 41st Annual Joe Becker Basketball Tournament just came to a conclusion. It was a good one. And we have that behind-the-scenes footage you don't really find on other closed-circuit television programs. Take a look. The annual Joe Becker 8th grade basketball tournament at Seven Holy Founders Parish is the premier 8th grade tournament in all of the CYC League. And this basketball tournament has a special place in my heart, for I have been announcing at it for the past 10 Becker basketball years. Another important role the announcer is picking the songs during the timeouts.
Picking the songs for the timeouts, like this song by Hall & Oates. Get some people over here bobbing their head. People like this song. They really enjoy this song. That's what it's all about. It's, it's for the kids. It's for the kids. Referee here at Seven Holy Founders has to be the man himself, Don Bowe. Three-pointer! So Don Bowe is just an amazing referee. You talk about the
determination when you're about stamina. Don Bowe seriously has it all. The guy is an amazing referee who is always focused on the game. And after the game, we're here with the man himself, Don Bowe, the referee of the game. Sorry, Tom. Sorry.
I'll always take a bow to the bow.
Sorry about that. You will take a bow to the bow. Don, how'd you feel about that game?
That was a great game. Up and down. Mary Queen never stops running. Never.
That's all you got. Don Bowe, ladies and gentlemen.
At least for me.
That's the spatula I dropped on the floor.
And like my mom always said, sometimes the most fun is outside of the gymnasium. Tense game of Scrabble going on outside the Becker.
Yeah, pretty much. I got a word for that with that U too. That
If
Y.
things go well, I can play gonorrhea next.
We're here with Don DeWeese. Don is the champion of the barbecue from LeGrand's Barbecue. Don, what's your specialty when you're cooking up food for the Becker basketball
Meat's got to
tournament?
be fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh meat. Over a moderate charcoal grill. No briquettes. Health reasons, we're going to clean this off and get a new one because that fell to the ground.
Staying in code with the health department.
Right.
It does have gloves on. But note that.
I do have gloves on, but they are see-through.
You can leave that like it was. Yes.
Don, what do you think about the announcers up here at the Becker tournament?
We have the premium announcers up here. Good deep voices. They know their stuff when it comes to seismology.
And cosmetology.
In meteorology, this is meteorology right here. Meteorology.
Meteorology.
Oh, that'll be now. What's going on? For the first time in Mondays in Midtown history, you're seeing the man behind the streets himself, Taylor McDonald. Taylor, what do you think about the Joe Becker basketball tournament thus far?
I saw a lot of good competition tonight. I thought it was really well put together. There was a lot of good fan interaction, a lot of cheer going on in the games. I gotta say the announcing tonight was really impressive. I think without that there wouldn't have been as much energy in the crowd as what I saw, and I was really impressed with what I saw.
What do they call you?
Plop dog on the streets. Don just around town.
And around town, the buzz is that the 41st annual Joe Becker was a blast. By the way, Mary Queen of Peace won both the boys and girls championship games. And again, that was the Joe Becker basketball tournament. It's time to communicate with Dr. Z. Schaefer.
In class this week, we're talking about a little bit more theoretical or philosophical terms, one of which being epistemology. This is one of those $5 words that you can go home and talk to mom or dad about to justify how much money you're paying for your education here at SLU. But what epistemology is interested in is really, what is the nature of knowledge? How do we study knowledge? How do we really know something? Where does that knowledge come from? So in my courses, we basically break it up into two different areas. The first is what we call everyday knowledge or common sense. Much of what we think we know about the world comes from this category. Personal knowledge or everyday knowledge includes intuition, instinct, superstition, authority, personal experience. And that's probably the largest aspect from where we know what we know about the real world is from personal experience. Actually not only experiencing something firsthand, but just from communicating with someone that we trust. So, in short, most of our knowledge about the world comes from talking with other people that we believe in. Right? So authority is a big source of knowledge in our contemporary world. The other aspect, which I try to teach my students, is scholarly knowledge or research. Research is much different than everyday knowledge. And there's pros and cons to both types of knowledge. But research is always going to be very research question driven. It's going to be methodical, meaning there's a systematic and rigorous process from which you proceed to answer that question. It needs to be a detailed process because it needs to be replicable. So if another scholar doesn't agree with your claims to knowledge, they can at least try to reproduce what you made. So in short, I encourage people to think about the claims that they're reproducing or restating. Ask themselves where those claims and ideas came from, and be sure that they know what they know before they share it with others. Thank you.
And again, that was Dr. Z. Schaefer with his thoughts on communications. You can always write to us at mondaysmidtown@gmail.com if you want to argue with him or agree with him, or if you just have a comment of your own. Either way, it's fantastic. Lyle's Corner is off this week, even though we just saw him behind us at that window. I'm not sure what that's all about, but the views expressed on Lyle's Corner still do not reflect those of Mondays in Midtown. I'm sorry, they do not necessarily reflect those of Mondays in Midtown, the University, or Father Biondi. But joining us right now to talk some politics, but politics in a different sense, some Student Government Association politics, is Danny Laub, our Student Government Election Specialist. Hi, Danny.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Doing well. What do you think of the campaign so far?
I think it's cool. I think it's an exciting time. We haven't had 3 tickets in quite a long time. It's pretty interesting. I think it's there's a lot of different things happening this year, and it's quite exciting.
What do these candidates have to do to get all these votes out on Monday? I mean, is there a strong get-out-the-vote effort?
I guess we'll be seeing that within the next week. I mean, they've got to convince their fellow students that they're the best people to run. And at a university like this, where not many people vote, it's not that hard to swim to the top.
So it's really anyone's game.
Yeah, I would say if I was putting percentages by it, it'd be pretty split even.
Do you have that hint, though, of who you think may pull out on top on Monday evening?
I don't know.
As you're watching continuous coverage of the election here?
I don't want to speculate. I'll be better to tell you next Monday, but I think it's anyone's game at this point.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very, very interesting. You can only get this analysis on Mondays in Midtown. You can only get it from Danny Laub. We appreciate him coming on the show. Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, Mark.
And right now, it's Spotlight on St. Louis.
For this week's Spotlight on St. Louis, we bring you to the Central West End, and specifically Maryland Plaza. It is located 5 or 10 minutes down Lindell by car, directly west of campus. The plaza features many delicious restaurants, including the Creperie, with their wide selection of crepes, Culpeppers, where you can find good wings and burgers, and a bit more upscale is Duff's, which is widely known as delicious. Got a sweet tooth? Head over to the Cupcakery for some of the most delicious and huge cupcakes around. Standing regally in the corner is the Chase Park Plaza. This institution features a historic luxury hotel that has housed the likes of Frank Sinatra, restaurants, a ballroom, and a movie theater. The Central West End is also known for their wide selection of galleries and antique shops. It is also the home of Left Bank Books, an independent bookstore with a wide selection and a friendly staff. The bookstore features a bust of author T.S. Eliot, whose family lived nearby on Westminster Place. On your way back to campus, you may want to stop and look at the Cathedral Basilica, located on Lindell in between campus and Maryland Plaza. The cathedral is a destination even for the non-Catholic. The beautiful interior boasts one of the largest mosaic collections in the world. Construction for the basilica began in 1907 under Archbishop John L. Glennon.
And again, that was the Spotlight on St. Louis. Great job, Amanda, there. We'll be right back with some final thoughts. Welcome back. For my final thoughts this week, I wanted to really quickly talk about the Grand Bridge. Just to bring you up to speed. Again, it looks like the Grand Bridge will be closing down for a period that could be up to 14, 16 months in mid-March, around March 14th. And when that bridge closes, you're going to have to find some detour routes. Log on to Metro St. Louis's website, along with the City of St. Louis's website, if you want some more information about those detour routes. We'll stay on top of it, though, and the minute that bridge closes, I'll be out there with the hard helmet doing a segment with Rich Bradley. Be good. You can always write to us, mondaysmidtown@gmail.com, mondaysmidtown@gmail.com. You can tweet at me, at MarkJZin. You can do other things as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Alonzo Garbanzo clip of the week. Good night.
Through the mirror of my mind, time after time, I see reflections of you and me. Reflections of the way life used to be. Reflections of the love you took from me. I'm all alone now, no love to shield me. Trapped in a world that's a distorted reality. Happiness that you took from me and left me alone with just a memory. Through the mirror of my mind, through these tears that I find, reflect a hurt I can't control. 'Cause although you're gone, I keep holding on to the happy times when you were mine. As I peer through the window of lost time, looking over my yesterdays and all the love that I gave in vain. All the love that I wasted, all the tears that I've tasted. Ooh, all the pain.
It's 10 p.m. It just doesn't sound right off the top of my tongue for some reason. 10 p.m. So we're doing...
I look better on TV than in real life.
Oh, we had people walking behind us, too. Come on. No, come back. Come back. No. Well, we got to... In the recent, the upcoming elections. Lyle! Lyle's corner. It's 10 p.m. I don't feel like shaving. It's President's Day. I still won't get a haircut or shave. It's President's Day. The haircut place and the place that shaves you is also closed, along with the banks. I don't know where to get a haircut. Help.